Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition, and you're now locked into the channel where we break down all the latest movies, new game releases, TV shows and comic books. With the third episode of Star Wars The Mandalorian out on Disney+, it's time to go back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Throughout this video, we'll be breaking down everything that you need to know about the new episode's overall plot and its ending to discuss what could be happening in the future. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to watch episode 3 yet and don't want to know what happens, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for breakdowns like this every day and weekly coverage on The Mandalorian. I have spoken. With that out of the way, I just want to give a huge thank you for clicking this video. Now let's get into our breakdown of The Mandalorian. Okay, so just a quick catch up on what's been going on so far in the show. The Mandalorian was tasked to travel to a planet and retrieve what is the cutest baby waby in the entire universe, and after a couple of trials and tribulations, Mando managed to get the prize and escorted off the planet, but there was something different about this bounty. Baby Yoda, as it's being called on the internet, is strong with the Force, and through their journey, Mando and the child have bonded with one another. Mando himself, who as a child had his life torn away, sees this reflected in the youngling, who soon will have theirs taken too. Episode 3, titled The Sin, picks up with Mando returning to the client, but it looks like he gains separation anxiety, and the episode very much deals with the character struggling with his duty and protecting the little baby. We stand for Baby Yoda. To me, The Sin itself refers to the fact that Mando, aka Din Djarin, sins in the episode by handing over the innocent character. There's a metaphor for rebirth in the piece that is almost a sort of baptism, and it's during this point that a big change for the character comes, with him returning to right the wrong at the beginning. We'll get into this later, but there's a strong sense that the sin in the episode refers to Mando's past, in which he lived selfishly, and how his actions have basically led to him committing this one big sin. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this episode that ties directly to the title. The opening kicks off with a hologram conversation between Greef Karga and Mando that sees the young baby just getting cuter and cuter somehow. I love the composition of this shot, and you sort of have an angel and devil almost on the character's shoulders, with the two paths being clearly labelled before him. If last week's episode was a video game side quest, then this one is definitely a Mass Effect choose your own adventure one, and having these two characters on opposite sides of the screen cements the two paths that Din Djarin has ahead of him. As Mando walks to the client, we see Jawas, a little astronaut thing that has the sound of a probe droid coming from it, and of course the returning door guard from the first episode that bears a striking resemblance to the one at Jabba's palace. The client seems overjoyed to see the prize brought in, and we learn that he was also behind all of the bounty hunters that Mando has come face to face with, including IG-11 and the ones that he fought in the desert. He rewards Mando with Beskar steel, but our protagonist wants more, including what the client plans to do with the child, but we learn that asking questions is against guild rules. This subtly starts to show that Mando is turning away from his sense of duty in favour of doing the right thing, which is pretty much the arc that he goes on throughout the episode. Mando returns to the blacksmith and passes several others of his kind. The mythosaur symbol returns as well. I touched on this last time, but I thought I'd go into more detail here as it's returned and has more prominence. For those who don't know, mythosaurs were native creatures of Mandalore that completely dominated the planet due to their size. The group that would become known as the Mandalorians wished to gain this planet for themselves, and thus they set out hunting these giant beasts until they were extinct. Hence the proud use of their skull as a symbol of the race. With the blacksmith, Mando commissions to have new armor made, and I feel bad for everyone who's already bought Mando Funko Pops, cause yeah, they're already out of date right now. There's been a couple of complaints online that there's no women in the show, but at least we have the blacksmith, who is clearly a female. We're all about equality on this channel, everyone. There's mention that the Beskar steel has Empire markings on it, and that it was taken during the Great Purge that pretty much wiped out their people. It is possible that this was during Order 66, and there is currently online a lot of speculation that the Empire carried out the purge of the Mandalorians alongside the Jedi one, in which they invaded Mandalore, stealing their supplies and resources to be used on their weapons and battleships. We see flashes of this once more, and it further adds to the duality in this episode. The Sin Sin could also be a reference to this purge in which Mando is trying to own by reclaiming the armor for himself. Now in the flashback, Mando does come face to face with a super battle droid from the prequel trilogy, which were not on the Empire's side, and they were pretty much all wiped out by Order 66. However, we know that Darth Sidious was behind both sides, so this could be how the Empire obtained the rare steel. It's also possible that the Mandalorian purge and Order 66 are unrelated, but whatever the case, it's clear that a lot of other Mandalorians look down on this move, and a fight breaks out between Mando and another. Mando refers to Baby Yoda as an enemy that helped him in a battle, and the blacksmith asking why an enemy would help him, for me, is the moment that it all fits together in his mind, and he realizes that Baby Yoda isn't the bad guy, and instead, the group that ransacked his home, killed his family, and took his resources, yeah, maybe they are. Also, on a side note, we don't know the name of Baby Yoda just yet, so I'm referring to him just as that, but make sure you leave your thoughts on what the name could be. We know it starts with a Y like Yoda and Yaddle, so maybe Baby YOLO? Damn, this channel gets worse and worse. Mando refuses the blacksmith's offer of a Mudhorn signet and instead gives him one known as Whistling Birds, which are a powerful defense against multiple enemies. Anyone want a group hug? Nope, me neither. After getting his new skin, available on Star Wars Battlefront 2 as a microtransaction for $4.99 I'm guessing, Mando returns to Greef and asks how many other bounty hunters were given the task of hunting Baby Yoda. Greef replies all of them, which kinda cements just how badly the client wanted BY. Greef wants to party like it's $21.99, but Mando just wants to put the job behind him, moving on from all of this. There's word of a nobleman skipping bail on Karnak, but I don't think we will get much beyond this little Easter egg that's a reference to ancient Egypt. Maybe Mando will team up with him down the line, but yeah, I highly doubt it. What Din Djarin really wants to know though is what's going to happen to the baby, and though he tries to leave it behind, seeing the knob that the child picked off at the start of the episode brings it all back. He returns to the client's headquarters and overhears the client telling Dr. Pershing that he has to extract the necessary material and then be done with it. Now, theory time here. So we know from eagle-eyed viewers that Dr. Pershing has the badge of Kamino cloners on his uniform, and if you've been keeping up to date with my channel and watched my Baby Yoda video, then you know that this is because I think they are planning to clone the child. Personally, I think this cements this theory, and whilst never before has it been possible to replicate Force-sensitive beings, the extraction could be referring to taking the child's midichlorians and replicating them before adding them back into either a clone of Baby Yoda or a completely new being. There's also some discussions online that one of the big reasons that Emperor Palpatine manages to return in The Rise of Skywalker is because they extract the creature's midichlorians and use them to re-energize his life force, but personally, I'm leaning more with this cloning theory, especially due to the uniform that Dr. Pershing has. When coming face to face with the Mandalorian, Pershing says that he was keeping the child protected, and this does tie back to the first episode in which he did insist that it was brought back alive. Personally, I believe that this may be due to the fact that it's easier to clone a living creature over a dead one, and when something with the Force dies, the Force goes with it, so this could be the thinking behind that. The client is clearly keeping Pershing alive though, so should he fail, it will likely be what happens to most people who fail in the Empire. That's right, McClunky. Pershing is probably a prisoner, similar to most scientists in the Empire, and we saw this play a massive part in Rogue One in the creation of the Death Star, so he is unlikely to be operating on kids for the fun of it. Mando escapes with the child and it becomes very much John Wick 3, with the character having to get off the planet with all guns pointed on him for breaking the code. Mando has went fully rogue. Rogue One, yeah, you like that? At this point, and the end of the series looks like it's very much going to be centered around him having to protect the child and take out all of those that have a target on his head. Mando is not alone though, and similar to John Wick, he still has allies, which include his Mando brethren from earlier, who are probably torn morally, but would much rather support their own than let the Empire get their way. Mando uses all of his arsenal to kill those that come face to face with him, and in my opinion, it's an absolutely amazing action scene that shows just how good Star Wars can be when it's done correctly. Watching the bird group attack, flamethrowers and blasters being used in combat is awesome, and he finally gets back to the racer's crest only to be confronted by Greef and his gang. With help from his allies, Mando makes it to his ship, and I loved watching them with their jetpacks on blasting the group, and this was pretty much a real version of scenes that had played out in my head as a kid with my Boba Fett and Jango Fett action figures. Yeah, I know they're not real Mandalorians yet, but still, it still counts, yeah. This is the way. I have spoken. At his ship, Mando is confronted by Greef, who he shoots, but Greef survives due to having Mandalorian steel over his heart, and with the help of Iron Man, Mandalorian, Baby Yoda and the titular character escape into space, ending the episode. Now, going forward, I think that episode 4 might either centre around Mando going across the galaxy to get Baby Yoda a new crib, or it could actually just show a flashback to the Purge and we get a full episode of that. This was clearly happening during the Clone Wars, if not after it, due to the Super Battle Droid, and I would say that this was during one of the major conflicts. I think episode 4 will fill in the details of how Mando escaped coming gun to face with a droid like this, and we do know that the Jedi were fighting the droids during this time, so we could see an intervention by one of them to stop the machine before it kills the protagonist. There's rumours online that this could be Obi-Wan, but personally, I don't know if we're ready to go that A-list with it yet. However, there is a massive chance that a Jedi could save him. If Mando is saved by a Jedi as well, it would explain why he was so torn on Baby Yoda, and though in the last episode he seemed unaware of the Force, this may have forced, see what I did there, his mind to recall that those that saved him as a child were Jedi, and now he has to do the same thing for one of their young ones. It's all getting really interesting and I'm absolutely loving the show at the moment, as this is ticking all the right boxes for me and Disney are knocking it out of the park. With this and Fallen Order, I'm so hyped for Star Wars and I can't wait to see what happens next week. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on The Mandalorian episode 3 as well as what your theories for the future are. Make sure you leave them in the comment section below because I'd love to read them, and if you enjoyed this video please give it a thumbs up and make sure you stay locked to the channel for breakdowns of every episode as they're released. It's my wife's birthday today as well and she's letting me stay in to make this video, so yeah, show some love with a like. If you want to watch us discuss more of the series, then make sure you check out our full breakdown of the first 2 episodes, which will be linked at the end, as we go over everything you need to know about the show, all of the Easter eggs and more, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want something else to watch after this. If you want to come chat to me after the video, then make sure you follow me on Twitter at DefinitionYT, or head over to my Discord server, which will be linked in the description below. We drop videos on there early, so if you want to see stuff before anyone else, then that's the best place to be. It's free to join and we have an awesome community, so hopefully I'll see you over there very soon. We're also giving away a free copy of the Marvel Phase 3 Part 2 box set on Blu-ray, which contains Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, Captain Marvel and more, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts on The Mandalorian in the comments section below. The winner's going to be chosen on the 15th of December and the set will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. This is a channel for people who are never missing television, so if that's the kind of thing you like, you need to subscribe to Definition. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this, you've been the best and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.